You're standing next to somebody or you meet somebody and you really want to talk to them, but you just can't think of anything to say. And you stand there in awkward silence whilst the opportunity passes you by. Here are some simple strategies to help you easily find things to say so you can enjoy talking to people and make new friends. And as usual, this video is not clinical advice. It's just general information. Making conversation is a skill that you can learn, much as you learn to walk. And you learn in the same way, by watching others, giving it a go, starting small, being prepared to fall over and then keep going. And practice, practice, practice. The bar to make good conversation is actually not high. Unfortunately, we all watch films, TV, social media, where it seems that everybody knows exactly what to say. They are always interesting and funny. This is fiction. It's scripted, and the scripts themselves go through a lot of edits. And then the bloopers during filming are edited out. It is completely different to real life. To find out what real conversation is like, be your own researcher. Get out there and listen. Listen to conversations on buses, in queues, at a sporting match, in a coffee shop, at a party. And if you can't get outside, listen to people who ring talkback radio. That's real conversation. And you'll find that the bar for conversation is very low. Unscripted real conversation is often about very basic topics, such as things that have happened, or the weather, that old standby, or things people are planning to do. People use simple, everyday language. And there are lots of false starts and fillers, such as, you know who I mean, what's his name? And even a lot of silences. Normal conversation is something everybody can do, which brings us to what is the point of conversation? After all, animals, such as dogs, get on very well without it and seem to make friends and enjoy themselves. It is our way of making a connection with other people and being part of a group. We don't go around sniffing other people to show them we're interested. We chat to them instead. And that's all it is. It's not about being super smart or super funny. It's about connecting. And you may already be doing this with family and friends. I was in a job where I used the lift a lot to travel between floors. Okay, yeah, I should have walked, but I used the lift. One Christmas Eve, I counted that I met 20 people in the lift that day. Every one of them asked me the exact same question. So what are you doing for Christmas? No one was in the least original, but each made a brief connection with me and had shown interest in me, and it worked. I enjoyed that brief conversation with each of them. So how do you talk to people socially and connect with them? Because it's about connection, it's not the words you say so much, but more your attitude towards the person. Being authentic and being genuinely interested in them, even in small interactions, is really very important. So the other person feels that they are connecting with a real person who wants to know them in some way. This means that when you say something, it's based on a genuine interest. You may have had the experience of going into a restaurant or a shop such as Apple, where the staff have been really well trained to make friendly comments. But somehow it's not real. It's just not the same as talking to a real person who may not have the right phrases, but who is actually interested in you. And the other important part of attitude is being friendly towards the person, which we often show with body language, such as a friendly face or leaning forward. And look at the difference between, so do you come here often? Or, so do you come here often? If you find this difficult, you can practice it in front of a mirror. So now let's talk about the words. Broadly, there are two types of situations where we make conversation with new people. The first is transient conversations with strangers, where we may only say a few words and don't really expect to see them again. This could be people next to you in a queue, people serving you in a restaurant, or people you sit next to somewhere. Here the goal is still connection, but it's brief and it's not expected to develop. In this situation, we usually don't really introduce ourselves. Rather, we make a general comment about the situation, such as, "There are so many good things on your menu. This queue is actually moving along. It's freezing tonight and your puffer jacket looks really warm," and so on. But even here, attitude is important, and a friendly smile and real interest helps. And when you're making contact with strangers, please just have some common sense about whether it's a safe situation to do so. The second situation is where it's expected to have longer conversations and may even eventually develop friendship. It could be a party, a new work situation, or group you belong to. In this case, how do we establish a connection? And the first step is to introduce yourself and then ask an open-ended question. This can be a question about a shared experience, such as, "Do you normally come to these talks?" Or, "How do you know James?" Or, "Did you see the match last weekend?" Or it can be something topical, perhaps in the news, such as, "Did you see that the child was rescued from the mine shaft alive? It was quite extraordinary how they did it." The idea is to give the other person an opportunity to talk about something they know something about, rather than you trying to show off your knowledge. And what I mean by open-ended questions are questions that encourage people to open up in their answers, rather than just giving a brief yes or no. It may surprise you, but it really doesn't matter too much what you say to someone in the beginning. As basically by talking to them, you are showing them that you are interested in them and you're offering them the gift of a conversation with you. But it does need to be something that they can reply to. And usually, if they're interested, they respond with something, and then you continue with that topic or branch into something new. There's no right way. Usually you can tell from their answers and body language whether they want to continue with this topic or perhaps like to talk about something else. And questions about the other person's opinion or experience are your best friend here. And eventually you will find something that really interests both of you, and you will start to get caught up in the conversation and stop thinking about what to say. It will flow naturally. And coming back to this idea of connection, showing interest by nodding, looking attentive, or verbal comments such as, "I see, that's really interesting," do help to get the conversation going. And it's the same if somebody starts to talk to you. You just follow the same sort of ideas. And the key is practice, practice, practice. When we practice, we establish patterns in our brain that we can then use. So where can you practice? Well, perhaps initially you don't need another person. You could try talking to characters on a TV or film, or even to a pet, or perhaps practice talking to yourself in the mirror. Really anywhere where there are people. And the more you practice, the more natural and automatic conversation will feel. And you will then develop your own way of doing things. You will develop your own personal style. And if you say something you think was stupid, remind yourself that making mistakes is actually part of how we learn, and that everybody deep down have their own stories of mistakes, because that's how they learned. And in practice, a stupid comment really doesn't matter. And just think how often you've heard other people make a little strange comment or get things back to front. You just ignore it and move on. And even when you're really good at conversations, keep listening to other people's conversations. And if someone uses a question or a phrase you like, then make it yours and use it. And it does help to broadly keep up with the things that the people you're likely to meet are interested in. This could be music or sport or the news. And in doing all this, it is about having a realistic goal, which is to be comfortable starting and making everyday conversation with people you don't know or don't know well, so you can connect with them, rather than to be as good as a top TV personality who have probably practiced and trained for years. And just a word about eye contact. In our Western culture, we do make eye contact with people. And if this is difficult for you, you can again first practice with TV characters or film characters And with real people, you don't have to look into their eyes. You can sort of look fairly close to the eyes on their face and even move your gaze a bit around the face. You'll get more comfortable and you can do fleeting eye contact and then make it a little bit longer. Although we value eye contact, we really only look in someone's eyes for about 50% of a conversation. We often sort of glance away because it would be very uncomfortable to just stare intently for a long period. A few no-nos. Although conversation is natural, there are a few things to avoid. That old adage about not talking about politics or religion is probably a good one, or really any other highly contentious topic. Also, not talking too much about your own problems is important. I recently had a minor operation, and the man I was sitting next to proceeded to tell me he had had the same operation a few months ago, but it had gone wrong, and that was not a conversation that helped me connect with him. And another one is reading the other person, their actions, their body language, and what they say to see if they're interested or they're really trying to move on. And most people like it that somebody else has taken the initiative to start talking. After all, they may be feeling shy or tongue-tied themselves. But sometimes it's just really hard to make a connection with someone. Maybe they're tired or stressed or distracted and are just not interested in making conversation with you at that moment. And if this happens, politely end the conversation and remind yourself that there are many other people out there who would like to talk to you, who are looking to connect. What about when you're really shy and you have things to say? And maybe you've even practiced in front of a mirror, but when it actually comes to speaking to somebody, you freeze. You feel shy or anxious. If this is you, this next video has simple strategies to overcome shyness and anxiety. And if you find talking to people very difficult, you may benefit from individual therapy. And one of the most important things is to have fun on the journey while you're developing your conversational skills. Enjoy trying things out, laugh when things don't work out, and enjoy the conversations and people that you meet along the way and the friends that you make. Because at the end of the day, we're all human, muddling along and looking for ways to connect with each other. I'm going to do another video that will talk about how to meet and connect with people online. And if you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and share it with people you think might enjoy it.